Mill, my fiance's mom, stuck me alone in our vacation rental while she dragged my man to a swanky hotel, slyly setting things up so I'd miss dinner with them. But right when I was about to call it quits with him, something crazy happened. Hey folks, I've been hanging out in the shadows for a while, but now I'm stepping up to ask for some advice. Let's dive right in. I've been with my fiancé, Adam, for 5 solid years, and we've had that engagement ring sparkling for 7 months now. We share a gorgeous home, and both of us put a ton of effort into keeping our relationship strong and steady. The trouble isn't with Adam. He tries so hard to smooth things over with his mom, but it's grinding him down, and I'm scared he'll end up stuck picking sides one day. I'd hate for him to face that kind of choice. It'd tear him apart to decide between me and his family. That kind of heartbreak is the last thing I want for him, having to split his loyalty like that. There's a bunch of messy moments I could mention, but I figured I'd zero in on the worst and latest one to give you the full picture. About 3 years back, just a month after we snagged our house, his mom hit us up saying her place desperately needed new windows. Mold was taking over her house, and a bunch of her windows didn't even seal properly anymore. Here's the kicker, his mom's sitting on a fat savings account, big enough to blow cash on fancy stuff like Birkin bags, twice weekly hair appointments, manicures, and a new Mercedes every couple of years. But she's terrible with planning her money, so she begged Adam for $25,000 to fix those windows. He told her he'd foot the bill, no problem. When he broke the news to me, I nearly keeled over from shock. He swore it was just a loan and she'd pay us back eventually. I'm still drowning in law school debt, and our mortgage is already way bigger than it should be. Then she had the nerve to tell him I'd let her freeze all winter if I had my way, guilting him into stepping up. So we tacked extra onto our mortgage to cover her top-notch, deluxe windows. We haven't seen a single penny back from her. I'm guessing it's all parked in her shiny new GL class. Like Shakespeare said, don't borrow or lend if you can help it. A year after that window fiasco, Adam and I hatched a plan for a 2-week getaway to Europe. He'd never been, and I'd lived there from age 3 until I moved to the US for school, so we were pumped. We settled on Spain and locked down a cute little apartment in Barcelona, just right for the two of us. We mapped out all our tours and adventures based on what we love. Adam's obsessed with architecture, so we booked some special stops just for that. Out of nowhere, his mom declared she was tagging along since she'd never seen Europe either, basically crashing our trip. I tried reasoning with Adam, appealing to his logical side, but his emotions took over, and I ended up caving. She was coming with us. Coach seats weren't good enough for her fancy tastes, so she upgraded to business class and didn't want to fly solo, meaning she shelled out for Adam to join her up front. That left me stuck in coach by myself. The apartment we rented? Not her idea of a vacation. She insisted on staying at the W in Barcelona instead. She pleaded with Adam to stay there with her, but surprise, there was no space for me. He tried talking sense into her, but she turned on the waterworks, moaning about how lonely she was without her husband, who passed away a decade ago before they could ever visit Europe together. So I ended up solo in the apartment while they crashed at the hotel. We were supposed to meet up for breakfast each day, but she'd take forever getting ready, delaying them until 11 a.m., and we missed most of our planned outings. I felt like a total outsider and started wondering why I even bothered coming. I could have stayed home and skipped the loneliness. Later, Adam and I started chatting about wedding plans. I wanted to keep it chill and simple since my family's still in Europe and can't make it. My dad's really sick, and we're worried he might get worse. Traveling's too risky for him, and I'd never ask him to gamble his health for a one-day party. I pitched to Adam that we do a quick courtroom wedding with his mom, sister, and a few friends, followed by a big fancy dinner for everyone. His mom flipped out. She wouldn't hear of it. She insisted her son's wedding had to be a huge, showy bash for all to see. I keep staring at my side of the guest list, barely a handful of names, and it makes me want to bawl. She's taken over the planning completely. I told Adam flat out I didn't want this. I begged for a tiny, super low-key event. He tried to tell her, but she brushes him off, calling me her or she, and saying I think I'm too good for a big wedding, even claiming my family's too snooty for America. My family's American, by the way. My dad was an ambassador. Lately, this kind of thing's been piling up, and this last time was the final straw. She's been pushing for more family time recently. She lives pretty close, but we don't see her much since she's always busy with her buddies and events, though never too busy to micromanage our wedding. Now she's demanding Adam, and I join her for dinner 3 nights a week. Thing is, she books the restaurant for 6 p.m., and some nights I don't roll in from work until 6:30. She's been nudging Adam to go eat with her anyway, saying I'm too selfish to get home on time for her precious son. Poor guy must be so lonely. Honestly, I don't mind him grabbing dinner with her that often, but the stuff she says about me behind my back stings. Tonight, though, I got home early. I left work by 4:30 p.m. and was through the door by 5 o'clock. I caught Adam just as he walked in, flinging the door open with a big grin to surprise him. He was thrilled, saying I could finally join him and his mom for dinner. I told him I just needed a quick shower and a change of clothes. He dialed his mom right away to let her know I was in, casually mentioning he hoped the reservation was for 3 tonight. She said it was, but she'd planned to eat earlier at 5:30 and was already on her way over. She showed up at 5:15, whining that she was starving and couldn't wait a second longer. Adam pointed out I'd be ready in 15 minutes, and offered to call the restaurant to push the booking back a bit. She shut that down fast, moaning about how hungry she was, and how an old lady shouldn't have to wait just so his fiancée could primp and preen. Adam came upstairs and asked me how much longer I'd be, so I told him just 10 more minutes. He explained that his mom was super upset and starving, then asked if I could skip something to speed things up for him, so we could head out sooner. I said he should just go without me, and I'd catch up with them at the restaurant, which seemed fine by me. When I got there, though, the table was set for 2, shocker, right? Adam suggested we could squeeze in an extra spot, but his mom grumbled that it'd mess up everything, and told me to just park myself at the bar while she sorted it out. I had 1 drink at the bar, then bailed, came home, chilled out a bit, and now I'm spilling all this out here. Man, that was a lot to unload. I really needed to vent it all out. Turns out, writing this helped me figure things out, and yeah, I think my relationship with Adam's done. I saw it clear as day while I was typing my heart out to you all. Thanks for being there. Wow, holy cow, I didn't expect this much attention since I pretty much worked it out solo. But it looks like most of you agree I'm on the right track. The support you've thrown my way has me floored. I'm so grateful, more than I can say in private messages or replies, and I bawled my eyes out reading your words. Some of you dropped serious wisdom, others gave me fresh angles to think about, and a few shared stories that hit close to home. I'm honestly speechless. Anyway, not much has shaken up yet, but I wanted to give you a little update and say a huge thank you. Seriously, thanks. After I posted, I was 2 glasses into a bottle of wine and commenting on my own thread when Adam rolled in super late. He plopped down next to me, looking totally beat, his eyes just empty and lost. I asked if he wanted to hash it out, but he said he needed a minute to wrap his head around everything from tonight. I told him I needed some time too. He looked at me and said he'd roll with whatever I decided, so I rang up my maid of honor, Colleen, and asked if she'd swing by to grab me so I could crash at her place for the night. Adam and I shared a kiss. He said he loved me, and then I took off. I haven't gone back home from Collins yet. Next morning, I called work and asked for a few extra days off to visit my family. So now I'm typing this from my parents' place in Europe. I let Adam know my plans, and he offered to drive me, but I said I was good going with Colleen, and I'd shoot him an email when I got settled. Once I was comfy at my folks' house, I emailed Adam and sent him the whole thread I posted Tuesday night. Tons of you wanted him to see it, so he's read all your comments and my big realization that I'm done. We had a quick Skype chat, and he said the thread left him feeling raw, but he was glad I got it off my chest. He asked if I was dead set on ending things or if I still needed to mull it over, and I told him I was pretty sure. He hit me with our old decision-making joke, asking for a probability, and I said I'm 90% certain this is it, using my time away to really weigh it all out. His eyes lit up for some reason, and he just said we'd talk more when I got back to the States. I wouldn't dump him over Skype anyway, and we've got house legalities and wedding deposits to sort out since his mom didn't chip in a dime for her grand plans. I sat down with my dad, who's been feeling better lately. Huge relief there. And he offered me 2/3 of the house cost so I could either buy it from Adam and knock down most of the mortgage or walk away and get my own place. I wasn't expecting that, but he said it'd give me options for whatever I decide, which he thinks I've already settled on. He just wants me free, not broke and heartbroken at once. So that's where I'm at. Nothing major's gone down with Adam yet, but my parents have given me some wiggle room, and I've been soaking up family time. My mom and I have been hitting the shops, my brother, his doctor wife, and their kids have been over for dinner a bunch, and my sister's due back from China tomorrow. I can't wait to see her. Wishing you all happy holidays and a bright new year. Hoping my next update has some solid closure, one way or another. Hey, sorry it took forever to update you. Work's been a madhouse, and stuff's been popping off at home too, so let's get into it. I want to thank you all again for sticking with me and caring about my relationship mess. Honestly, your advice and stories have cleared up so much. Oh, and Adam's been keeping up with everything too. First off, huge thanks to everyone who has had Adam's back. I don't think he's the bad guy here, and I'd never be petty or nasty to him, like snarking off as I leave or anything mean like that. He held me together while I got my MBA, drilled me for my IELTS, proofread my law school essays, did fake interviews with me, sat through dull orientations, stayed up all night when I was a nervous wreck before the bar, cheered me on during my first triathlon, and he's my hero when I spot a house centipede. He's my dream guy, and I wouldn't ditch him if I didn't feel like I'm losing a war I can't win. Now, brace yourselves for a wild twist. Someone commented on my last update that if he really wanted to fix things, he'd show up at my parents' house, and guess what? He took that to heart, showing up on the 24th with his bags and a rental car. I was floored and blurted out, "What the heck are you doing here?" He just chuckled and said he couldn't wait till I got back to talk it all out. He'd been poring over the thread comments, and they hit him hard. He felt a real connection to some of your stories about dealing with parents. He told me he'd spent days replaying that restaurant night with his mom, and the way I looked at him when I realized what was up crushed him inside. What I didn't know was that after I went to the bar, he and his mom had a huge blowout about me. He told her he doesn't feel free anymore. His sister used to say she dealt with the same junk, but it's chilled out since she moved far away. Lots of folks keep asking me why I stuck it out this long, and I've been racking my brain to pinpoint when it all flipped, when her comments stopped feeling like typical "Mom doesn't want to lose her boy" stuff and started hitting like pure isolation and spite. Early on, we actually got along okay. She and I would hit the mall together sometimes, and one time we even got our nails done. But things took a nosedive right around when Adam and I bought our house. That's when it got real ugly. The whole Windows mess was the first major red flag I can recall. the moment she clocked how serious we were about each other. So, back at my parents' place, Adam and I had a raw, no-holds-barred talk. I laid it all out, and he matched me, spilling everything. No wild bombshells like incest or beatings. Just him realizing he was brought up by a narcissist who freaked out when she felt her grip on her golden boy slipping away. We hashed it out and landed on a plan. Here's what we settled on. On December 27th, after ringing in the new year, he flew back to the States a few days before me and hauled his stuff out of our place to crash with a buddy, sparing me the hassle of his big life shakeup. We've pumped the brakes on our engagement for now. He's scrapped all the wedding plans his mom had railroaded. Since mid-January, he's been hitting therapy hard 2 or 3 times a week, and I've tagged along for 4 sessions. His mom hasn't bothered. We've kind of started dating each other fresh, and I've been chatting with his sister. She's spilled how rough their mom was on her too, and Adam's damn lucky to have dodged worse. Now, about his mom, he's giving her one final shot to join him in therapy, but he's made it clear if she bails, he's cutting her off for good. We've got a ton to rebuild, but I'm confident we can tackle it together. Man, it's been ages. We're all a year older now, and here's a fun twist. Adam and I are writing this update as a team. Oops, guess I spoiled it. We're together, and yeah, we're hitched. So last time we checked in, Adam was deep in therapy, still is, working through the mess his mom left behind. We were living apart back then, and his mom pulled this fake suicide stunt, called 911, before barely swallowing 2 pills, total drama. It's wild to think how much abuse was buried in his head, when he's always seemed so upbeat on the outside. My husband, loves saying that, got seriously scarred by his own mom his whole life, just like his sister did. I'd hinted before that his sister had it way rougher growing up, but after their dad passed, his mom zeroed in on him hard. His dad died of kidney failure. Adam even gave him one of his own kidneys to try to save him, but his body rejected it, and he passed about 11 years ago this April. While Adam was grieving, his mom twisted the knife, convincing him he'd killed his dad and left her all alone, guilting him into making it up to her by bending over backwards. Every time he tried to break free and build his own life, she'd yank him back with that same line. Take the Windows thing. I only caught the part where she blamed me, but looking back 4 years, I remember Adam saying her house was crumbling because she didn't have a man around anymore, since he took his dad out. He was trying to clue me in, but I didn't get it then. Same deal with the Barcelona trip. She started doing it right in my face. When he was younger, it was all about grades or sports. She saw her kids as pieces of herself back then, not girlfriends to mess with. Just a different flavor of control, not quite this guilt trip madness. Fast forward to now. Adam's therapist suggested he offer his mom a shot at therapy to sort things out, but he couldn't even pitch it to her right away because, post-suicide, she jetted off on a cruise for some me time, whatever that means. When he finally did, you'd think he'd asked her to kick puppies with how she flipped out. So that's it, no contact. She's tried reaching out, but Adam ignores unknown numbers. We changed our locks, and his job's got strict orders to keep her out. She moved near his sister in July, but I know from his sister, we're tight, that she's been cut off since she got married. We kissed that $25,000 goodbye. Either it comes back through probate someday or it's gone, and I'm not sweating it enough to chase it, especially since Adam's worried she'd dangle it to worm her way back in. We tied the knot in September, jetted out this week to renew our vows at my parents' place, and we're stoked for our Fiji honeymoon in January. My dad's not doing great though. He's up and down like always, but my brother's not hopeful this time. Anyway, since you've all been so awesome, we've got a little favor to ask. Adam and I are planning a grieving ceremony for his dad so he can process it right, free of her mind games.